Looking into that now. Just wondering what's happened here. Can you try again, please? Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I see that is still not coming up for you. Would you mind following the instructions here to clear your cache, please? We will extend your time to control the robot. Yes, that is still being problematic. So sorry about this. Seem to be having a technical glitch here with the robot. Just a second.
We have movement.
Ground touch. Blocking. Yeah.
Okay, that seems to be resolved on our end. Shabam, if you can try again, please. Thank you for waiting.
Actually, yeah.
Yes, right, Mr. Chair.
Did I get you to say your intro?
I believe so, yes. Well, we're going up the stairs, I think.
Quickly just get you. My name's Daniel. I am what you want.
Michael, what do you think?
If that's a genuine possibility, then it will do. Then let's try that. Let's definitely worth trying. Absolutely.
Yes, let's go for that. We'll see, Shabam, if it's something related to your laptop. Who is the next contestant to go?
All right.
And then everyone will just go
Hold on one sec.
I can give you the Google Meet invite link as well.
If I want to talk,
Yeah, if you want to talk, if you go into Google Meet, we can then broadcast.
I think the next contestant is person named Tom2182. Yes, that's you, right?
Yeah, I think it's me.
Yeah. Do you want to give it a go? and follow the procedure Daniel set out before and see if we can get you running?
I got the thing this allowed. I don't see any like robot appearing on the website.
Okay.
Okay, can you send me your email, please?
All right.
Try that again. If you refresh, you should have the robot now.
It's showing nothing on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, if you try it again, please, Tom.
I will give you the code.
Try refreshing.
It is EGW. Yeah, we got EQW first. EQW. Yeah, one second. Please go through it.
It's still not showing up.
Enter code.
Can you try logging out and logging into
And,
the website, please?
Procedure Daniel set out before.
And I just want to confirm, this is the email that you used for signing up to your Cyberselves account, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's the
I log back in and it's still not showing up.
Okay, looking into that.
I think the microphone could be on mute because we had it muted. I'll check. No, it's unmuted.
Hello.
I can hear you. You are
Okay,
broadcasting. You can see it there.
Can you hear me? Bill?
Yeah.
Oh, that's better. So, can you hear me now?
Oh wow, look at the fancy microphone.
Can't hear anything.
You can hear me, right, Tony?
That's the output.
I can't see because there's no way.
Okay.
Any luck if you refresh, Tom?
It's still showing nothing.
Okay. Okay, please try again. Fourth time lucky, maybe.
It's still showing nothing.
Even after a refresh.
I've been refreshing constantly and it's still showing nothing.
Okay.
We talk about robotics and also what's coming up this week.
Are we live right now, or are we?
Yes.
We are. I think we've got a bit of an echo. Does that mean I should turn off my live feed?
If you unmute on the other group, mute on the original Google Meet.
No, he left that meeting.
Yeah, if you just mute the tab.
I need to mute this one.
Yeah, if you just right click and then you show us mute it. Or if you click on the, yeah, if you click that, I'll do it. Yeah, it's muted. Nice.
Okay.
It's good fun.
So, Michael, just to let you know that today at 3:25, we're going to interview David Gunkel,
Very
who
looking
is
forward to that.
an internationally known professor of the philosophy of robots. And he is the author of the book Robot Rights from MIT Press, which is advertised itself as a provocative attempt to think about what was previously considered unthinkable, a serious philosophical case for the rights of robots. So this is not about people as such, but about robots themselves, and the question as to whether and under what circumstances robots could ever have rights in the way that humans have rights. So, yeah, that should be an interesting chat.
David's somebody we've both talked to a lot before. He's got a great way. I love the he poses some simple questions like, can robots have rights? Should robots have rights? But the way he goes into it can completely change the way you think about robots and human beings. I find his work really, really inspirational. I really like it.
Yeah, I think for many people, the obvious answer is no, that robots aren't biological beings, so they could never have rights. And that's the interesting thing about his book, is that he kind of overturns that view. And
looks at the question of robot rights from the question of human rights. So.
Yeah, he also looks at the question of robot rights from the question of how people are going to respond and behave towards robots, and how maybe robots should have rights because people feel they should have. That would be a very brief summary of his argument, but I'm sure he'll explain it better. What's your take on this, Michael? Should robots have rights?
You're asking me now. Well, I'm a little bit unfair because I've read his stuff, and he's. I would say that the question of whether or not robots have rights depends more on where you think human beings should have rights. For me, I don't want to sound like an old-style humanist, but it does come back to that. And I would say rather, why shouldn't robots have rights?
Well, that
maybe undermines his point that we need to be not thinking within the humanist box, and maybe he'll tell me off for that when we talk to him. But I look forward to being told off for that.
Yeah, and for anyone who is listening, you can tell Michael off on Twitter. What's the best way to message you on Twitter, Mike?
Oh, right. Yeah, we should get some graphics up. At Michael Solossi is probably me.
Yeah, and that.
Yeah.
And that's spelled SZOLLOSY.
Yeah.
And you can also tell me off, or otherwise respond to me on Twitter as @TonyJPrescott. And there's a thread on there that I just started about David Gunkel. So if you've got a question for David about robot rights, then you could put it on that Twitter thread, and I think that would be a good way. And we'll try and if anyone posts a question there, we'll try and put it to David later.
Oh, it's a fantastic idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then later on at 3:45, we have got Claire Asher, and Claire is the manager of the UK RAS network. And she's the organizer of all of the activities for this week's Festival of Robotics Week. And so Claire's going to come online, and she's going to tell us exactly what is happening and where and how to get involved, I hope. So I'm not sure myself what's happening, so I'm looking forward to finding out from her. And but if you don't want to wait till then, you can go to www.ukras.org/roboticsweek, and you'll see information on there about some of the things that are going on. So, and one of those is the MiRo Maze, but there's lots more happening as well.
Excellent.
And if anybody is listening to the feed and hasn't yet signed up to have a go on the robot, we are here all week. And you can sign up to have your turn on the robot. What's the best address? Is it Eventbrite, Michael?
Yep. We'll get that address out. Well, I think you've tweeted it out, haven't you, from your account? Certainly, we've done well from the Cyberselves account. We've tweeted out information on it. So, another person to follow, another couple accounts to follow would be Cyberselves. At Cyberselves, which is CYBERSELVES, And UK RAS Network too deserves probably a follow in this context as well.
Yeah, in fact, what I could do is share my screen, or share a bit of my screen.
That should work.
Um,
Because it wouldn't share all of your screen.
yeah, let me do this. It's
So the
pretty-
UK Robotics Twitter feed is simply at UK Robotics. No spaces, no hashes, no anything else. And that will get you up to date on all the activities that are happening during Festival of Robotics this week. Man clicking at keyboard.
yeah.
always thrilling audio feeds, or sorry, video streams. Is this your first time on a Twitch, Tony?
I think it probably is actually. Yeah.
I think it's mine as well. I've done other platforms, but I'm not sure I've done Twitch before.
Oh, look.
Oh, there we go. That's exciting.
So, can you see that?
Yeah, I can. I hope. Hold on, I can tell you in a second. Yes, I can.
Right. So I've got my Twitter account, your Twitter account, and is that the right one for UK Robotics?
Yeah, and you want to have one of the Cyberselves as well. This is the low-tech way of doing graphics. By the end of the week, we'll be absolutely rocking this system.
Cyberselves.
Yeah, and by the end of this week, we'll be absolutely rocking this system. So we'll have, as we speak, things that'll be flashing up on screen, including, I'm hoping, fact-checking.
Oh, yeah, we need to do that, definitely.
Definitely not going to happen. Which is no slight on the excellent people producing the stream right now, who've done tremendous work in a short period of time, and I'm very grateful to them. Especially because I'm locked up in here at home. Obviously, and can't get out. Did we make that clear to the viewers? I'm stuck at home because I got a notification on an app saying I shouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I was at home for 10 days just over a week ago. I'm allowed out now. So.
That's a good question. Is my notification because I've been near you? I don't think we were anywhere near each other at that point, were we?
Yeah. So, no, I don't think I could have caused you any problem. So I've put in a link there. That's to the MiRo Maze on the Robotics Week webpage. To be honest, you're best just Googling MiRo Maze and then going to the Eventbrite if you just want to sign up to have your go. So that's what I would do first. And hopefully you'll see soon what the opportunity is. So
there's also a link on the Ceres webpage as well. That's good to point people towards Ceres as well, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
Ceres is another organization. There's a lot of good work with robotics and education. It's skills and education for robotics and autonomous systems. So it's seras.org.uk. And that will take you, the first item on there is the MiRo Maze link, but also has links to the General Festival of Robotics link that's out there as well.
Yeah, and later in the week, we might talk to Richard Waterston, who is managing the Ceras group, and he can talk about robots in education, because that's something that we're really passionate about. We know that a lot of the jobs in the future are going to be jobs involving robots, working with robots, and we think it's important that we start now to train people for those jobs, and that's people of all ages, not just people who are currently in school, but people who are currently in work, but may have a robot in their work in the future. People at all levels of education, and people that are out of work and thinking of coming back into work and might want to do a job around robots. So yeah, I think we'll schedule a chat about robots in education later in the week with Richard.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so the general program for the week is that we're going to start off at 1 o'clock or around 1 o'clock. We're going to have people running robots in the maze intermittently throughout the day, hopefully at a slightly faster pace than we are now. And we're going to intersperse that with some chat and some interviews and maybe showing some videos that we made earlier. So, have I missed anything?
No, I don't think so.
Today, in the first day, there are a few issues with getting the robot to work. That's kind of the nature of robotics.
It's
But
the nature.
hopefully, by Friday, it'll be running very smoothly.
When you're on the cutting edge, there's going to be problems. It's almost an inevitability.
So I'm going to stop sharing this page. Michael, you stop sharing your camera.
No, I didn't. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me, Tony, still? Hello? Oh dear, this doesn't bode well, does it? Oh, one of us has crashed. It looks more like you than me. Tony, you frozen. I think we're in trouble. Let's try refreshing. Tony, I'll message the boys that know how to do such things. All right. Okay. Can we get them back? Oh, great. Okay. So to the millions of people following and watching around the world, I unfortunately don't feel that kind of pressure. There's somebody's coming back. Anyway, yeah. So Tony described what we're going to be doing. Hopefully, combining more robots with interviews with. We got actually the robotics lineup for interviews we've got. Even in the absence of actual robots working at the moment, you really want to check out some of the interviews we've got lined up, because these are some really, really interesting people with some fantastic ideas you don't want to miss out on. And it's going to really, I'm really looking forward to talking to some of these people. It's kind of almost like a mini conference it's turned into. We kind of put that in as a kind of bit of a side to the main event, but it's going to be fantastic, I think, talking to some of these people. Still waiting for Tony to come back and see how the rest of the maze stuff is going. What's any news from over there, Connor? Okay, you're right. We used to run the maze at different events before lockdown, obviously. So the novelty is trying to get it to work remotely. So and normally, of course, we do it with a. Hi, Tony. Welcome back. Normally, we used to run the maze with a VR headset, and we used to work it so people could come, put the headset on, and control the robot in the maze. So the novelty, the innovation we're trying to bring to you for this event is something that's more COVID safe, because obviously we can't have hundreds of people lined up and putting a headset on and swapping, because that's not going to work in this day and age. But so you can do it from your browser at home. So it's a little bit of teething problems just on that aspect of it. Tony, are you back with us? Oh, okay. It looks like he is. But anyway, there we go. I've got the full schedule now. Well, we also look like we're going to have Joanna Bryson at some point as well on Tuesday, I think, which is a professor at University of Bath. And she's fascinating. One of the first people I talked to when I was getting into robotics with some fantastic ideas. And hopefully a couple other ones will be confirmed later in the week as we move on. And then Friday, we're not doing the afternoon because Friday is the grand final. So we're going to have an interview, it looks like, with Kate Devlin, who's another fascinating person. And we're going to be having running some final trials for the people who managed to do the maze the fastest during the week. And they'll have an opportunity to compete for a prize at the end. Oh, Tony dropped out again. He was good. Okay. Oh gosh. I always say this. We used to do a robot film series at the showroom here in Sheffield. That was a few years ago now. We used to run it, and we used to have connections, people coming in with from video links. So we used to just even try to run a PowerPoint presentation. And one of the main objectives of that film series was to try to make people not afraid of robots. The idea that robots aren't going to take over the world. You don't need to worry about this. And I always said, look, there's a great example of why you don't have to worry about robots taking over the world. Here's a group full of roboticists, so we can make a PowerPoint presentation work. One of the odds of us being able to program robots that can take over the world. I think people felt relaxed about that. I like to think that our failures are doing something, just a small piece to help bring peace of mind to people and not fear of the robot revolution. I've also put something like that, of course, in when we do events. These places we go to, they always want a risk assessment. So I always put in online a risk assessment. You list all the possible things that can go wrong, like somebody tripping over a robot. So potential cause somebody, breaks an ankle, way of mitigating the possibility of that happening, say robots be placed on a tabletop, for example. So I got one line in our risk assessment at the end where it says, a possible threat is that humans gain consciousness and decide to take over the world. And then the potential outcome is, global disaster and human genocide. And I just put the way to mitigate against that and stop people that happening is just employ the robot. You'd be surprised how many people don't actually pay attention to the risk assessment. They don't pay attention. The thing is, it makes me wonder. It's like, well, you're not reading the risk assessment then, because if I put that in there as a serious point, and they're not paying attention to it, that shows that the risk assessments aren't really doing their job. That's not going to make anybody feel better either, is it? Maybe I should stop doing that part of my job. Which is always a good thing. If I have to improvise much longer, I'm going to reach my guitar, and nobody wants that. Actually, the guitar playing isn't probably too bad. It's the possibility of me singing while playing guitar that nobody wants. I'm waiting for the feedback to come from the Cyberselves team, all of whom will be writing in right now, saying, "Please, please get the robots working to shut Michael up." Why are you laughing? You're supposed to say, "No, no, 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 no. I'm sure it's fine." It's a feed. I almost. Oh wait. Oh my goodness. I was just going to check to see if there was a feed, and there is a feed, and it's David Kunkel himself. That's fantastic. He's just said looking forward to talking to you in just about an hour. Hopefully, we get some good questions. So please, yes, tweet as soon as I am free from having to do my improvisation duties while the robot works. I shall tweet that out. We'll try to solicit some more questions. That puts more pressure on me, knowing that somebody is actually listening. And we just commented off things saying that I basically I pleaded with everyone I know to send me some kind of feedback, so give me some encouragement. And now they're just feeding my ego, and I'm afraid now I'm going to start up my own channel and just started maybe I'll call it like Michael's Talks. It'll just be me beside a fireplace or something, and I'll just tell jokes. My jokes are terrible. It wouldn't be the roar of the fire. It'd probably be me setting fire to my house and just watching it burn. That's sadistic, frustrated streak. See, right now I'm all smiles and happy, but as soon as the camera goes off, I'm gonna be what? Every time we try to do this, it winds up going a little bit pear shaped when you do live and stuff. When you do entertainment. if anybody wants to, there's a Dave program that features our robots. That all went horribly wrong as well. With John Richardson, actually, and some very funny comedians. What's this message coming through saying? Somebody saying, "Don't ever mention that again." Oh, right. Apparently, I have a future as an internet sensation, a YouTube streaming sensation. It's because I got my finger on the pulse. I'm praying the kids. I sent my kids the link. I'm praying one of them is watching right now, and they will absolutely, because they come storming in here and just start hacking me to death with something. As soon as they say stuff like, "I got my finger on the pulse. I'm down with the kids." They'll come in with this. It'll be like all Hitchcock in here. And somebody just sent me my favorite GIF in the whole world. Oh, thank you, Michael. You know I like that GIF. It's my favorite one. It's the kid in the Pittsburgh Penguins jersey doing the cheer. I could just watch this all day. Actually, you know what? That would be a good stream for any live feed. It's just this GIF on constant loop. Yeah, don't. Hey.
Hey, I'm back.
Tony, I've decided we don't need you, man. I've got a future as a live internet streamer, comedian / raconteur.
I'm sure that you filled the gap. Yeah.
I filled the gap, and that there was a gap that needed filling, and I was here. Whether I effectively filled the gap or did so in an entertaining way,
Yeah.
will leave for the general public. I have noticed that we lost a viewer. We had
That was
some, and
probably
now we
me.
have one less. But Tony, did you see in the Twitch chat that David Gunkel himself has messaged us, saying he's looking forward to talking to us later?
Yeah, fantastic.
So I said, as soon as I'm done filling in gaps, I'm going to go on Twitter and say, anybody got some questions for him?
Yeah, absolutely. If David,
Your sound was better before, Tony. I'm just saying.
I've got echo.
Yeah, yes, you did. Tony, you sound great. You should do some of this, man.
That's a good point. I should check which microphone I'm on now. All right, yeah, I'm on the Yeti. Yeah. Can you hear me? Still hear me, Michael? Just ignoring
Sorry?
me? Can you still hear me? No.
That's comedy gold, that. Yes,
Michael,
I
can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. It's all right.
All
I
right.
just got distracted replying to a message from somebody else.
Yeah, so, and just while we're on the subject of who we're talking to this week, we will also be talking to Joanna Bryson, who is also a professor of robotics. And Joanna has many affiliations, but I think she's currently attached to the Hertie School in Berlin.
All right.
And she is a professor of ethics and technology. And she's also attached to the University of Bath. So Joanna is interested in lots of ethical issues around robotics and has her own particular take on those, which we will be exploring when we speak to her tomorrow. So John and I agree on many things, but one of the things we don't agree about is whether we should build robots that can be social companions for people. So Joanna thinks there are some ethical risks in being friends with robots that we should be more worried about than we are. So I expect that topic will come up. Anything that you want to
Because
ask
you will
Joanna,
make sure
Michael?
about it. That's why it'll come up.
So, but I'm sure we'll have a free-ranging conversation about robot ethics. So, again,
You
if
must
people
be
have
shy
questions,
about expressing your opinions, though. So I'm not sure if.
yeah. So, and I will tweet about that interview as well shortly. And again, if you want to put a question to Joanna, you can put it on the Twitter thread. Or so people can actually message us on Twitch. I didn't realize that.
It's a new platform for me too, man. This is the future.
Yeah.
This is where young people are.
So we're both live
This
streaming.
is what young people have been screaming out for. Two old guys talking to each other on a feed on Twitch.
Yeah. So
There's like streams all over of like gamers and people doing great stuff, and then there's you and me sat here. We should be wearing nice warm cardigans and smoking a pipe or something.
So here's the question for you, Michael.
Yeah.
If people put a message into the stream chat,
Yeah.
Anybody who's watching the stream can message in the stream chat. Is that right? Or do you have to?
Yeah. I'm actually watching the stream, the chat from the stream. I'm watching it from a different username, like from my username rather than from my official Cyberselves username or from the official UK Robotics, both of whom are hosting the stream, by the way. So shout out to the Cyberselves fans and the UK Robotics fans that are watching the stream right now.
But there's only one chat room, I take it, for all of these streams.
I could find out.
5 different chat rooms.
Yeah, we can consolidate 3 of them.
Yeah.
But there's 2 that we can't consolidate.
Okay. So
if we were cleverer and if we were or younger, one of the
we
two.
are clever. We're just not well informed.
It amounts to the same thing. If we were younger or cleverer or somehow both, we could integrate the stream actually with the. We actually integrate the stream.
Well, we have young, clever people who are probably helping with all this that might make that happen.
Oh yeah, I mean none of this would be possible without them.
Would it help if I logged in? I'm not logged in even at the moment. So
what? Twitch.
Yeah.
Do you have an account?
Yeah, but I can solve that problem too. So
You literally, this is epic. This is like epic video entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. Man makes a Twitch account live on Twitch. And sorry, somehow the number just dropped again. Not that I'm obsessed with our ratings or anything. Yeah, so I'm looking at our. So I'm watching the channel on my own private feed because I have done Twitch before. I'm not streaming myself, but I've watched stuff, and I'm seeing followed channels and the numbers we've got watching this right now. The recommended channels below that, I'm noticing their numbers are slightly higher. Like there's one guy here with 58,000.
Right.
Another one with 18,000. We don't have quite that much yet.
Well, I think we're building up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
one day, Tony. Dream bigger, go home, man. We're supposed to be talking about robots. You're literally making an account right now.
I'm still trying to do that because it didn't work.
You could do this, and then you could do your live music on here too.
Yeah.
There's people doing all sorts on here. I saw this the other day. It's not just gaming. It's people coming on here and doing all sorts of things live. Are you muted, or is that Connor's muted? Well, obviously you're muted, then I can still hear you.
I'm going to
So
do
Connor's
this
hosting.
offline.
Say hi to the nice people, Connor. There you go. He's got the best sound as well.
Yeah. So maybe we should talk about MiRo. Shall I get one of the ones?
Oh, that's a great idea, Tony. Yeah.
I've got a big cupboard full.
Yeah.
Of MiRos right behind me there. Look.
I've got bits and pieces of MiRos all over the place. I should have. If we were at the lab, I could have been holding up all sorts of bits and pieces. But
so here in Sheffield, in the Diamond Building. So we're in the famous Diamond Building, which is the heart of engineering at Sheffield. So if you study engineering as an undergraduate at the university, you will come to this place many, many times, and you will experience this workroom probably, which is quite high tech, quite cool. And that's the ceiling. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think it looks quite good.
Why are you going up there?
Just because I think it's interesting architecturally.
Now the diamond's a weird thing because it. I don't want to be rude about the university building, but everybody said it's an amazing building. It's so great. And then people started looking at it. I think the reviews came in later going like, well, it's just a box with some interesting spaces. There are some interesting spaces within it.
I think if you're an architect, you would not agree that it's just a box. There's more going on here than.
No, this is I'm talking about reviews I've read, architecture reviews I've read.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But this is ages ago. More interesting to show is this isn't architecture channel. This is a robots channel.
Yeah.
Get a robot. Go get one of those robots. Bring it over here. Oh, you're touched.
I mean, do this.
Somebody pass Tony a robot, please.
That's attached there. I'm going to take my headphones off. Okay, I'm getting closer and closer to the robot cover. I will be able to reach it. Whoops. There you go. Here he is. I don't know if he'll work if I just switch him on.
Is he charged?
It is fully charged.
What's that one called?
It's called MiRo 9.
Not as good as some of our other names. Maria, Bobby.
Oh, they're quite hot. They stay hot all the time. That's good for them. Maybe they've just been charged up for us.
Maybe. Can we get one up here then to have a look at? Maybe turn it on. Let people hear the noise and look around.
Well, I've
it's
turned
a
it on.
fantastic
I'm going to see
robot.
if it's going to work, but I might have to connect to it with the app to get it.
All right. Well,
I can do that. And
yeah. Why don't you tell us the story about how MiRo came into existence, Tony?
well, MiRo is an animal-like robot. Or
What kind of animal, Tony?
Animaloid.
What kind of animal?
So some robots are humanoid, and this one is animaloid. So it resembles a general mammal, and people can decide for themselves what particular animal it looks like. And I can tell you now that some people think it looks like a rabbit, and some people think it looks like a puppy. And it has been compared to a donkey because of this nose.
And a cow.
And a cow, yeah. So
How, I don't know, but a cow.
if you have an opinion on what kind of animal MiRo looks like,
Tweet us at.
please let us know. So MiRo has two eyes. Well, it has two cameras, but they're in the position on its head that eyes would be on an animal. So we can say eyes in inverted commas. And it has two ears. And the ears, I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that? Michael, you disappeared.
I can hear it. We can hear it.
So the ears make a sound. Do you know why they do that?
Yes, I do.
Explain to the viewers why we made the ears make that
I thought I was going to fake my way through that.
sound.
It makes a noise. Okay, edition 2 of MiRo didn't have noisy ears. I know. It's because there's no tactile sensors in the ear. But if somebody wants to stroke the ear or touch it, the noise means that MiRo can register that somebody's touching its ears.
Yeah, so there's a bit of sort of crinkly paper, like a wrapper off a chocolate bar inside the ear. And the idea is that there is a microphone at the base of the ear there. So the
It hears
microphone
what, for
picks
example.
up sound, and the sounds it picks up include that noise you make when you crinkle the ears. And the idea is that you should be able to tell the difference between somebody stroking the ear like that and somebody bending the ear more aggressively. And some of our students in computer science, some of our level 3 students, programmed a pattern classifier to try and distinguish those two sounds, and they were successful.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
Again, young, clever people.
So this robot is being used in the computer science degree at the University of Sheffield at level 1 and at level 3. And in level 3, you can do a course called Cognitive and Biomimetic Robotics, which is taught by me and another member of staff, Alex Lucas and Mike Mangan. And we talk about how we can design robots based on principles that we take from biology. And as part of that course, people do programming projects with MiRo. And so a group of them did this project to program it to recognize ear noise. So there you go. You don't know what you're going to be doing at university, and you get there, you end up programming robot ears to tell the difference between a pinch and a stroke. But that will make you employable in the robot industry.
Tony, can you tell us about the other tactile sensors on its back and its head? That's some of my favorite stuff about MiRo.
Let's look at MiRo's back.
As somebody who spent hours stroking that robot.
Yeah, so if you look at MiRo, you see that there are lights in the body. They're not the tactile sensors. But underneath the plastic, there are some strips that are tactile sensors. And so there's about, I think, 20 in the body, and there's more in the head. So just about anywhere on the body or in the head that you can touch, there's a tactile sensor, which responds, although you're touching the outside of the skin, we're picking up underneath the plastic due to the piezo effect. So you're inducing a current in this little strip of material that's attached to the inside of the shell. So using those patterns, so obviously when you move your hand across the shell, you're basically there are a bunch of different strips are being activated, and you can take the temporal pattern and use that to distinguish whether you're stroking it backwards or forwards or fast or slow and things like that. So MiRo is programmed to respond to soft, sort of light, sort of short strokes. And if you do that, it'll respond by being happy. And I'll try and get this one to work in a minute. So we can show that. So the tactile sensor is really important. Then these are sensors here as well. Michael, do you want to tell us what they do?
No. Because I forget which ones those are.
So
Are those the cliff sensors?
They are the cliff sensors, yeah.
Yeah.
So they are basically infrared. So they are shining light in the infrared spectrum, which is invisible to the human eye. And that light is reflected back, and we measure the time it takes for the light to be sent out and reflected back, and that gives you a measure of distance to the nearest object in the sort of line of flight of that infrared beam. And clearly, if there's a flaw, then you get quite a short response time or distance. And if you're at the edge of the table looking over a cliff, then there's a longer time and distance. And you can use that to say, so let's stop moving and turn around and do something different. So those are the cliff sensors. They're not, I would say, 100% reliable at detecting cliffs. So
is that based on the number of times MiRo's driven off a table?
We tend not to leave MiRo on top of a table without an edge on it. If it does fall off the table, that can cause damage to the robot. So
Yeah.
if you have a MiRo at home, don't drive it off the table. Or don't leave it on the table without any protection other than its cliff sensors.
It's funny though when you understand what a cliff sensor does and how it operates. You understand why sometimes it would drive itself off a table. It's not literally looking for. It's not a depth sensor, is it? It's not looking for a drop. It's looking for certain changes, isn't it, in the properties of the ground it's driving under. So sometimes I've been frustrated because I've not been able to get MiRo over to move on a carpet. It's because the carpet will have a pattern on it. The MiRo reads the pattern on the carpet as part of the cliff.
Well,
So the cliff sensor probably operates just fine within the parameters it's been established for.
yeah, well, you're just revealing your ignorance, Michael, because the app allows
Please,
you.
you tell me.
The app allows you to change the threshold at which MiRo detects a cliff,
This is true.
and if the sensor is set at a particular threshold, it'll detect a dark carpet as a cliff.
Is
So-
that a new thing?
No, it's done that for a while, and you can see that as a feature or as a bug. So we choose to see it as a feature.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm connected to a MiRo here.
You could say the same about human beings, though, really, too, can't you? I mean, you could see things as a feature or a bug, so we choose to see it as a feature, right?
Yeah.
Like if we're a little bit quiet and introverted, a little bit more thoughtful, well, we could say that that's because they have a social disorder, or because they'd rather just be kind of smart, introspective type. So, is it a feature or a bug? Well, let's make it a feature. No, you're absolutely right. Joking aside.
Right. I'm trying to connect to this MiRo.
Mostly because you just want to see it moving.
Handshaking with Ray.
I know that the app has just been upgraded, hasn't it?
Yeah.
From the old app I was used to using before. And Tony, it's 3:25 that David's coming, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's quite soon. I'm going to actually put this down and figure that out later because I need to connect a cable to my computer.
Okay. Oh. Hello out there. It's just me again. Let's face it, the other guy, he was just window dressing, wasn't he? Anyway, if he goes, he should put a robot on. So it's something interesting to look at, other than my ugly mug. And that's MiRo speaking, which is kind of strange. MiRo connected to the internet. Hi, Tony. Welcome back.
I don't know.
Next time you get up from the camera, put the robot in front of the camera. Much more interesting to look at than either of us.
Oh, is that one behind you moving? That's me.
That's the one. Were you connected to the wrong one?
Okay.
Oh, there's the noise I love. Hello, little guy.
We're here.
Hello. I should point out to viewers that my dog hates MiRo.
Right.
I've had
Okay.
MiRos in my house running around for ages. But I had 2 cats. They don't care. They completely ignore MiRo. They think it's a piece of furniture. My dog, on the other hand, even when he's not turned on, sees him and will go absolutely crazy. When he was a tiny pup, it was the first time he was ever able to jump up onto the couch on his own. Was out of fear of seeing that robot just literally spraying. And he'll
Right.
just run around barking at it incessantly. I have to film it and share it with you because it's actually quite amusing.
Yeah. So MiRo is actually listening to everything you're saying agreeing with you
Yeah, probably. That's definitely
passionately.
the vibes I'm getting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you hear him talking?
I can.
Yeah. So there's something interesting about his voice as well, because MiRo is has a program which simulates the vocal tract of an animal of this size. So it makes animal-like noises. These aren't pre-recorded sounds. These are being synthesized moment to moment based on the emotional state of MiRo. There's a bit of tail action going on here as well. So
Love those tails.
so this is why people think MiRo is a puppy, because he can wag his tail. And you see that if you stroke him, his tail gets more waggy.
Tony, what else can change Miro's mood?
Well, if you're mean to him and shout at him, so you can see the lights are glowing green because he's super happy. Because I was tickling him on the head here. See?
Oh, his eyes partly closed. His eye.
Yeah, and he's getting sleepy and happy, and his tail's going mad. And it's actually quite a rewarding experience. You'd be surprised.
No, not at all. I've done it a lot.
Interact with this robot, and so we're looking at whether we could use that in a therapeutic way, with, for instance, children that are unhappy at school. So could they maybe interact with MiRo, and that could make them cheer them up a bit? You know, the way interacting with a rabbit might work. Right, I've got to finish plugging my computer in.
I've had many long hours stroking Miro. One in particular was we went to bet one year, didn't we? We had a tiny little table. No, don't show the people how to do that. No, we can't hear Miro right now anyway. So A, you're on mute. B, you're showing people how to make a robot upset. You know you can't do that.
I'm just telling you, I'm not going to do it, but if I was to tap him on the nose a lot, he finds that annoying.
Yes, he does. You can't tell people.
And it stops by wagging his tail.
There are some people that will go and they will do that because they want to see it.
Yeah, but actually, it doesn't do any harm to him. Not compared to sticking your finger in his eyes. That's the real one.
Which we've also had.
Yeah, we have a lot of small children that think it would be fun to prise his eyes open.
As I was explaining before, Tony and I have done a lot of public engagement. We'd have code words for, like we'd have baby alerts. The kind of toddler goes running over to Miro and grabs it by the ears and picks it up and shakes it around. Generally, kids are very respectful, but sometimes they go, fingers in his tails ripped off, ears ripped off easy. Tails are more difficult to fix. So you gotta go.
Yeah, so when we get the telepresence working, you will basically be seeing the world through Miro's eyes, and you'll be controlling him to live around. I don't know if you'll have tail control. You may not have the ability to remote control the tail. But you'll see the world also sort of 10 inches off the ground, which is obviously where MiRo sits, and it's a bit unusual. And I think if you find that if you telepresence into this robot for a period of time, it does feel a bit like Alice in Wonderland, that you are suddenly, it's like taking the potion that makes you really small. So, and then obviously you take the VR headset off and it reverses the effect. So, and that to me, as a psychologist, is interesting, how we can cause these psychological responses through telepresence and robot motion.
Yes, I was explaining that to somebody, telling them that you're actually a psychologist by training, aren't you? I mean, it was one of those conversations where people assumed you and I were roboticists, and I guess we are. But we both have interesting journeys to get there, don't we?
Yeah. Well, right now you can't really do a degree in robotics. I mean, maybe you can. Oh, sorry. Okay. Are you doing a master's degree? You can do a master's in robotics, but you
Well,
can't.
It's mechatronics and robotics. The technical.
Yeah, you at the University of Sheffield, you can do a degree in robotics
Yeah, it's
with
like one
with
of-
mechatronics, but you have to have done an undergraduate degree first.
Well, I'm doing robotics combined.
Oh, it's a 4-year degree. So, and it's a really good degree. So if you're thinking about going to university, come to Sheffield, to one of the few. How many courses are there that do robotics in the UK? Do you know?
It's, I mean, it's like maybe low double digits, like 10 maximum.
Right.
And it sort of depends whether it's like computer science or the actual department here is like the only dedicated department to that control system.
So I don't know if you heard that, but Sheffield is the only place in the UK where you can do a dedicated master's course in robotics with mechatronics. And mechatronics, as Michael will explain, is the engineering of what?
Sorry? I'm dealing with a technical problem.
So mechatronics is the combination of the word mechanical and electronic, and it is to do with the electronic control of the mechanical systems in the robot, and that also includes the sensory systems. So so you don't just learn about software with robots, you also learn about the physical hardware of the robot, which obviously includes things like motors, sensors, moving parts of all sorts, and how to program those to do interesting behaviors. So yeah, and if you Google robotics with mechatronics, you can find out more about the course. And we have people who are doing the course here today, so you can also ask questions in the chat.
We have a question in the chat.
Oh, we do.
We do. It's in the site. It's in the UK robotics one, not the Cyberselves
All
YouTube
right. Okay.
one. I can send you a link if that'll make it easier. But the questions are just that one above the YouTube notice. Basically, one of the rules of the tournament and how to handle the MiRo.
Yeah. Okay. So the rules of the tournament. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So
So I think what we'll do is we will prepare those, and we will talk through the rules of the tournament in a short while, but probably after the interview that we're going to do. So certainly for tomorrow, and it may be that we might have to let the people that signed up for today have another go tomorrow to give them a fair shot at this.
yeah, because I don't think the rule was going to work today.
Right. Okay. So is that decided that we're going to?
It's not decided yet, but I feel like that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
seems to be a recurring issue of the grey screen. The mirror isn't transmitting the video feedback from what I gathered.
Oh, okay.
So
So it looks like the technical issues are more complicated than we thought they were going to be. I think it was working on Friday, so it's one of these things where you think it's working, and then when you try and use it in earnest, it doesn't work properly. So we will continue to debug this, and the people that have been kindly waiting to try the robot, we will give you another slot either tomorrow or in the next couple of days, so we can work that out with you. And we will also, I think, give you a bit more information about controlling the robot, because I don't think it's super complicated, but it probably is something that would be good to show you more of. And you will get a chance to try controlling the robot before you actually have to do your lab. So we will give people practice with the robot as soon as we can get it up and running. But we are continuing to work on this, and if we do get it running, we will give some demonstrations today. But if you're waiting to have your go on the robot, then I think what we'll have to do is to reschedule you for the next few days. It's not a problem, because we've got a bunch of free slots, and we can definitely find a slot for you tomorrow or later in the week. And but please stay on the feed, because we will be talking to David Gunkel and later on to Claire Asher, and we will also be putting an edited version of today's feed out later as well. So so I think we've got about 10 minutes before David comes on. So if you have a question, then please share them. I'll check my Twitter, see if there's any there.
I'm just exploring some Twitter myself right now. I'm actually putting out a tweet right now about it, so hopefully we'll get some.
Oh, we got a message from Paul Scara, who says, "Impressive, that robot." Well, thank you. And yeah, and that's the robot you will get to control when we get the teleoperation working. I should say about the teleoperation, we've had it working between Doha and Sheffield before. So, and that was to control the Pepper humanoid robot. So that's over thousands of miles. So we ought to be able to get it working here. Yeah, so any other questions or comments about the robot, put that in the chat. So I'm watching the twitch.tv/cyberselves chat. Michael, are you on the same chat or a different one?
I'm on the Twitch one as well.
Maybe one of us could go on the YouTube one, and
I'm on the YouTube one as well. Yeah.
all right. Okay.
Right there. But that just went live now. Because it had been live and then there was a problem, so it's come back up. So we don't have anything on it right now. So, but yeah, people will come on. I'll send these links live as well. Maybe get some people on there. This is me doing tweeting.
Yeah, yeah. And I've got a few responses to my tweet.
I might send some more from some different accounts. So we get. There we go. Perhaps Saras would be interested in sending that as well.
Yeah, so a little bit more about David Gunkel. So he is a professor, I think, in Chicago at Northern Illinois University, which is, I think, one of the universities in Chicago or very near Chicago. And he's actually a professor of media studies, according to his profile in the Department of Communication. So, and he's written 3 books, although it looks like more than that looking at this here. So, so he's written before about hacking cyberspace, thinking otherwise, philosophy, communication, technology, the machine question, critical perspectives on AI, robots, and ethics, and Heidegger and the media. Heidegger is a famous, I think he's a German philosopher. I guess I'm not a philosopher, so if I'm wrong about that, then yeah, we can find out later. So, but that's in addition to Robot Rights, which is a recent book that he wrote. So he is broadly interested in how new media, and I think you can put robots and AIs and things into that category, affect society and how we respond to them, and the ethics of all these things. And he'll be joining us in under 10 minutes.
What are we going to do in the meantime, Tony?
Well, is there a video we could maybe show people of robot telepresence?
That's a great idea. There is.
Right.
If I share a screen, I can get one.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't you share a video and we can explain what's going on in it?
All right, because we could talk over it, couldn't we?
We could.
That's very clever. Did a young person in the background give you that idea?
No, I come up with that all by myself.
Wow.
So Katie has come on the chat. She's really looking forward to talk with David. I'm sharing this link around my network as we speak. Great. And if people in the network miss the chat, they will be able to watch it again. So you'll be able to access this on the YouTube feed, I think, throughout the week. And also, maybe we'll just put all the interviews into, or we'll extract them and put them out individually, so that you don't have to listen to me and Michael witter on all afternoon to find the good bits.
There's some quality wittering. I'm not be so quick to dismiss it. There's some fantastic wittering going on.
Yeah.
Like world class wittering.
Well, we can have some highlights of the wittering as well.
That would be a short.
Witter lights.
Witter light, very nice. I'm gonna play a video of telepresence that Cyberselves had done a little while ago. It's cute. It's a bit old now. We've added many more robots, but I think it'll be. Let's see. I want to present a window. Here we go. I don't know if you'll have sound or not, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah.
Is there sound?
The goal for telepresence is such that we can have anyone teleport to somewhere instantly. Teleoperate if the robot is in that place. When you're seated at home, Saturday, you're bored, and you say, "Oh, I'd like to go to Tokyo." You put on a VR headset, you choose a robot in Tokyo, you're there, now you can walk the streets and talk to people.
That was
There
nice.
you go. That was short. Short and
Daniel looking much younger than me.
sweet. January looking less stressed than he does today.
It's you're older now. That's okay.
So how about that one where you have the Now robot combing Daniel's hair? That's a good one.
With that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually on our YouTube channel. But I shall
Yeah, so one of the possible uses of telepresence robots is in care. So you might be able to have robots that are carers, and those could be operated remotely by people. I mean, clearly, it's not instead of human carriers, but it could be as well as. And in the last 12 months, it's been difficult to visit relatives, particularly if they've been hospitals and care homes. So if this situation comes around again, which hopefully it never will, then maybe you'll be able to visit people via robots, because robots don't catch or transmit viruses.
Great idea. I'll play this video, and then when we come back from this video, it should be time for David Gunkel.
Yeah. Does David know how to join this chat? Has he been
he's cleverer than we are, so I suspect he's.
Sorry?
There's a new Google Meet in your calendar.
All right, we're swapping to a different Google Meet for
You
that.
set that up. I'll play this, and then I'll meet you there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll
Ciao.
leave this Google Meet then.
Yeah. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Michael.
I'm coming to visit you today.
Yeah, coming over.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Are we live now, Connor? Yeah. So hello, everybody, and so we've just switched to another chat channel, and we have David Gunkel here with us. And as I've been saying for the last hour or so, David is a philosopher and a professor of media studies, I think that's right, who has specialized in thinking about the consequences really for humanity of developing robots and AI. So what I like about David is that he's thinking of this sort of in the round, not just the negatives, but also the potential positives about having robots. So maybe, David, we could start off with that. What do you think is the positive of having robots in the world?
Yeah, no, so this is a question that I think is important for us to address, because you're right. We hear a lot of the negatives, not only in our science fiction stories, but also in the reports that we see in the news and elsewhere. We hear about bias and about lethal autonomous weapons systems, etc. And so there's a lot of the sort of negative portrayal that's in the media. But I do think that we have decades of experience with some more positive kinds of impact and relationships between humans and robots. And I think the entire field of human-robot interaction is really, spinning out all kinds of really interesting narratives about how people interact with robots, how people relate to robots, and what the impact of robots are in their world. And a really simple example of how this happens and what it all means is, we recently had this moment in time where people are getting sort of interested in the fact that we're treating our Alexas and our Siris as social subjects, right? We're saying thank you to Alexa for helping us find something. And that's because of the way that we're wired.
Some people are worried about that, though, that if we have too many of these sort of electronic personalities in our lives, that maybe we'll neglect sort of human relationships. Is that a worry that you think we should look at?
So I always
I've
think
crashed.
that it's important. What happened?
It seems to be still going.
Yeah, you're still going.
Oh,
You're fine, Tony. Carry on.
Okay.
Or maybe
So I always like
Go on.
to look at these things. I always like to look at them historically, right? So this same moral panic that we now have with regards to social robots already occurred with writing during Plato's time, right?
Oh.
Writing was looked at as this horrible social force that would cause people to be asocial, that would cause them to invest in objects as opposed to real people, that would cause them to lose themselves in these written documents and not go out in the world and experience life that is there to be experienced. And I think we are seeing repetitions of this argument again and again with other iterations of technology. And I think the social robot is just playing out another version of this. And that as we get to have a little more experience with these things and feel more comfortable with their presence in our reality, we will have a much better and a more robust way of understanding the true social impact.
I really like the historicization of that, because you see it with social media in general, don't you? That a lot of what we say now about Facebook, we saw with radio back in the 1920s and 30s, which is really interesting. Do you think maybe it's a little bit heightened with social robotics because, and maybe you'll say no if you historicize it, it's no different, but robots seem, especially with social robots, seem to mirror us so closely. They seem to look so much like us in some ways. Maybe writing did those things, but social robots, we seem to have a different relationship with them. Or is it just, do you think, is there a particular case to be made for social robots?
Yeah, it's a good question, because there are differences, right? Not all media is the same. Every form of media brings with it new challenges, new opportunities that need to be grappled with individually. And I think the embodiment of the robot is a real big alteration. Most of our media has been, for lack of a better description, kind of disembodied. You think about social media as something that resides in the cloud, right? And we don't have a body to relate to except for the fact that it's a virtual thing on the screen. The social robot occupies our social world. It has social presence. And I think that is a new component in the relationship that we have to this kind of technology. And we can see ways in which the morphology of the robot really makes a difference. Is it human form? Is it animal form? Is it caricature form? But I also think movement is really crucial. You can have a really stupid robot that doesn't have a lot of great design in its morphology, but if it moves, we accord it a kind of social status that is very different from the way that we do with an inanimate object.
Yeah, I think that the physicality, because there are studies that have compared a robot with an avatar of that robot and looked at how people respond, and they do respond differently just because it's a physical object in the world occupying space. You can physically interact with it and touch it, so that does make such a difference. And when you were writing about robot rights, is there something then that physicality makes robots potentially some things that you might think about as having rights in a way that avatars don't?
Yeah, no, this is a good question too, because this is a really
go on.
important question, because I think we're in a moment in time here where we are confronted with objects that seem to be more than objects. And so we're having this kind of gap in the way that we categorize the entities of the world that we are now encountering in our everyday social reality. It used to be very easy to parse things into object, thing, and person. And that way of dividing up the world made sense, not only morally, but also legally, where we have these categories of person and property. We now have devices, things, objects in the world with social presence that are pressing against the boundaries of those limited categories and asking for ways of thinking about our relationships to these things that seem to be more than just things. And this, I think, is leading us in the direction of trying to begin developing a little more nuanced ontology of the differences between different objects. We already went through something like this with animals, right? Animals used to be considered just things we could use and abuse as we want, and animal rights innovations got us to think a little more nuanced about what animals are and why they're important to us and what they mean. I think we have something very similar happening with regards to these social robots that are also playing a role of the other, that is other than what we think about when we relate to things socially.
And it's the robot specifically, I think, that I think you've argued in some of the stuff I've read of yours before that, that edifice that we had of clear distinctions between subject and object, that was always a bit of an artificial dichotomy anyway. But the robot and the technologies we have today are so good at forcing that issue and forcing us to confront, well, actually, maybe this isn't so easy after all. Maybe it's not a simple question of this and that and subject and object. We know which is which, and we can build these rules based on these pretend distinctions like that.
Yeah, but hang on, because there are lots of people out there, and we know quite a few of them, that think we're completely deceiving ourselves when we look at robots and we compare them to animals or humans, that these are just pieces of inert matter that have been programmed to resemble in a very superficial way animals or humans. And certainly they're not like us in the way that animals are, and that most people would consider animals are sentient, they feel pain, they respond to us, they have emotions, all these sorts of things. And robots right now, if they have any of that, it's very pale comparison to animals. So do you think that the deception is a big problem there, that we're just kidding ourselves?
Yeah, so the deception question is really crucial. And Simone Natale just came out with a really good book on AI and deception, in which he argues that deception is not something that is necessarily just negative. The entire effort of AI and robots is to engage us in sort of deceptions that we want to be engaged with. He calls these banal deceptions to distinguish them from these more sort of dangerous forms of deception. So I think deception is not a binary. It's not either deception or not deception. I think it's about how we mobilize these efforts to engage us in these kinds of projections that we have with these robots, and how that shapes social opportunities, but also makes new challenges for us. I like to imagine that Alan Turing would have had a bumper sticker on his 1950 VW Beetle that would have said "No deception, NOW, no AI," and then "No deception, KNOW, no AI." That you have to have deception to have artificial intelligence have an effect, and it's how we manage the deception that really makes a difference.
Right, but just to pressure on this, because it's what we think about, animals, even animals like fish or even worms, is that they have some sense, and that if you tread on them, they have pain and things like that. And robots don't have that experience. And when people talk about animal rights, they're meaning, don't mistreat this animal because it might experience pain or be unhappy. Whereas that can't be true of a robot, surely.
So in the animal rights area, this gets into some really sticky, problematic area, because then you have to make a dividing line between those animals that count and those animals that don't count, the ones you can eat and the ones you don't eat, right? So why is the dog in the house and is considered a companion, and the pig is in the barn and slaughtered for food? Cognitively, they're very similar. But socially, we have made a distinction between one as being a social animal and one being raw material that we can utilize. And this is because of this properties approach to deciding moral and legal status, that we think it's about the sort of internal states of the entity, but our way of mobilizing that has been really inconsistent and really problematic. And so if we're a little more honest about the way that we actually make these determinations and the way that we make these distinctions, it turns out that phenomenologically speaking, it's more about the relationships that we have with various entities and how we include them in our moral sphere, in our legal community or not. And that the inconsistencies cannot just be wished away with some metaphysical magic, because there isn't such a thing. I think the social pressures are much more interesting and much more complicated when we begin to look at how they actually function and how we've operationalized them with regards to these different kinds of entities.
For me, go on, Tony. Did you want to?
After you, yeah.
I was just going to say that I think that really tees it up nicely for the next question. I'm sure that we want to ask and everybody wants to ask is what's the way out then if we can't rely on these little demarcations anymore of dog is in the house, pig is outside, then where do we go? How can we restructure an ethics that gets around that particular knotty problem?
Yeah, so this again, I think, is really a crucial question, because normally we've organized our ethical thinking by a kind of ontology first, ethics second kind of approach, that metaphysics comes first, it's first philosophy, morality is the derivative, right? So what something is determines how it's treated. And so we go out in the world and we decide to divide up things into who's that count and what's that don't count. Whether or not those distinctions are credible over time is something that historically has been problematic. And I think we're now at a moment in which we're saying maybe we need to be more honest with ourselves about the way our morality really operates, and that it is the case that we first encounter things and respond to them in ways that already accord them respect or not. And then after that, we make these metaphysical excuses as justifications for the way that we interact with things. So Cockleberg and I have called this the social relational approach to moral thinking. And it follows in the traditions of care ethics out of the sort of feminist tradition. It follows in the tradition of environmental ethics, and also the work of Emmanuel Levinas and other people like him, who have tried to put ethics as first philosophy and the metaphysical stuff as a derivative that sort of makes excuses or justifications for the kinds of decisions that we make in the face of all these challenging others that encounter us in daily life.
So
I will say oh, sorry.
And would it be fair to say that from this view, rights, robots will have rights to the extent that people decide they should have rights, so it's really not down to them, it's down to us.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think it's a shift from a natural rights thinking to a legal rights thinking. Natural rights are grounded in the nature of the object. And you first of all have to decide its nature before you can grant any kind of social status or consideration. Legal rights, on the other hand, are less strict, and they are socially conferred decisions on how we decide to shape our reality. And therefore, it is more about us. It's not about the individual entity. It's about the community. And it's about how we decide as a community to integrate these things into our world and create a framework for our interactions that makes sense for us, for our needs, and for what it is these objects mean to us.
I was going to say, is there a question then? I really find the idea you proposed for switching that properties approach and having it being the relational approach. I really find that very attractive. I'm wondering if a potential pitfall is that you then wind up, however, with the same problem of who gets to decide. That before you'd have somebody decide, right, well, this counts and this doesn't. Dog can live in the house, pig out, and that we're going to eat one and love the other one. How do you avoid the problem of somebody else then making the decision? Okay, well, you can have relations first, but we get to decide which relations are important. Like how do we avoid falling back into that power structure of the person that decides what matters?
Yeah, this is crucial. This means that behind all forms of ethics, there's a politics. There's power. Even ethics that we think is grounded in the properties approach is an exercise of power. Somebody gets to decide which property counts. Somebody gets to say it's consciousness, or it's sentience, or it's something else. So there's always a power involved. Nietzsche knew this. This is what Nietzsche was all about in his moral thinking. He was trying to expose the power relationships behind moral decision making. This doesn't get rid of the power, but it does say that we need to be attentive to the way power plays in these kinds of decision makings. And it does mean that if we are to participate in these decisions and make sort of the determinations about what is and what isn't a moral subject, it can be either more or less democratically decided. And the big question is, who is the we? Who is the we when we say we decide? Who is included in that we? Who has the power? Who doesn't have the power? Thomas Birch, an environmental ethicist, always said that the extension of rights to others is always a determination of power. Somebody has the power to extend rights and to determine whether or not something else is granted rights. And I think being attentive to how these power relationships play out in our moral systems is absolutely crucial. I think we've done a lot of moral thinking, assuming that the morality was somehow apolitical, and it's not. It's incredibly and fully political.
So we've got a question actually on Twitter which touches on this. So this is Mathana, who is writing on Twitter. What ethical responsibility do today's well-known expert voices on the subject of expanding normative frameworks of rights vis-a-vis non-humans and robots? So what responsibility do they have to bring up, support, and elevate multidisciplinary thinkers whose work sits outside the global north academic institution? So I guess, pointing to the fact that there's this sort of dominance of the discussion from sort of Western academic institutions, and that there are people outside those frameworks whose voices maybe aren't being heard so much. What do you think about that?
Yeah, this is, I think, really important, and thank you for the question, because I think this gets to the heart of some of these political questions. Normally, we have made normative claims about our ethics from a very specific position. It's a situated knowledge, as Donna Haraway calls it. And we have done so, we, European white people, using our philosophical traditions. And we are, I think, experiencing now some pressure on recognizing the privilege and the power that comes from occupying that perspective. And there's a great deal, I think, that can be learned by looking outside of the sort of traditional Western European way of thinking about these problems. I think Josh Gellers has done some really interesting work looking at indigenous ontologies and the way that indigenous thought can sort of crack open some of these dichotomies and these binaries that we inherit from these traditions. There are other individuals like Jennifer Robinson, who's been working in Japan, looking at how, out of Shintoism, The Japanese have a very different way of relating to robots that is not fearful, right? That is much more inviting of the robot. And I think looking beyond the boundaries of one's culture, I think, is an absolutely crucial way of beginning to problematize, not because these other ways have it right, but they just have a different way of addressing it and can get us engaged in different kinds of questions. So it's not looking for an alternative as, that's the right way to do things. It's looking at alternatives as a way of broadening the conversation and opening up a dialogue that has oftentimes not been available to us.
In some respects, that diversity is in itself the point, isn't it? That we're spreading out the idea of who gets to decide and what counts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're going to have to wrap up, David, because we've got another interview coming up, and we could talk about this for ages. But I think that's a good place to leave it. I mean, today is about outreach and trying to reach other audiences and to hear other voices. And so hopefully during this week we'll get more people come on and give us their perspective. Tomorrow afternoon we'll have John and Bryson, who will have a view on some of these questions, which I know is different from yours and mine, and that will be interesting to debate. But yeah, thanks very much, David, and we'll post your link to this interview, and yeah, please share it on Twitter, and everybody please stay tuned, because we're going to be talking to Claire Asher about the UK Festival of Robotics Week in just a moment. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you both. It was wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Tony's left us. He's supposed to stay here, I think. I'll be doing a different interview. Anyway, it's a pleasure. I'll join you on another. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, David. Bye-bye.
Michael, great. Thank you.
Bye.
Can come on this call, and we can start streaming it.
Oh, Claire wants to come in. Let's let her in.
Oh, great. Okay.
Hello.
Hi there. Are we streaming, Connor? Great. Okay. So, Claire, thank you for joining us. Just for people watching, this is Claire Asher, who is Am I right? You're the manager of the UK Robotics and Autonomous Systems Network.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Just tell us what the network is, just to remind me and tell people who are listening.
Of course. First of all, thank you very much for having me today. So the UK RAS network stands for Robotics and Autonomous Systems Network, and we are a network of 32 universities across the UK, funded by the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council. And the aim of the network is to kind of bring together the robotics and AI community in the UK, and to kind of act as a hub for the activities that are going on, both academic and more kind of public facing. So we run a variety of different events, challenges, competitions, workshops throughout the year. Some of them are aimed at a public audience like this. Some of them are aimed more specifically at industry or at particular groups of academics working on certain areas. And we produce publications as well. We produce a white paper series. We do an annual early career researcher conference. So it's very busy. I've been managing the network for about 1.5 years now. And yeah, it's exciting.
And this week you're particularly busy because it's the UK Festival of Robotics Week.
Yes.
So tell me what this is all about then.
Sure. So the UK Festival of Robotics started on Saturday. It's a 7-day celebration of all things robotic. And the aim of it is to kind of really bring robotic innovations to the public, to offer people the opportunity to interact with robots and with the people who are creating them, to ask questions, to try and understand robotics better, and really to bring these issues and these developments and innovations to a broader audience. And we're running, so this year our events are exclusively online, partly obviously because of COVID restrictions, but also I think one of the things we found over the last year is that online events really offer the opportunity to bring in a much bigger audience than we could ever hope to get to in-person events, and it's reducing barriers. So we're seeing people who don't normally engage with in-person robotics events being able to get involved. So that's really exciting. Yeah.
So we're here all week as part of UK Robotics Week, broadcasting live from the Sheffield University Diamond. We did have a bit of live robots earlier, and we are going to have people teleoperating robots. We had some teething issues today, but we hope it will be in full flow tomorrow. And people can still sign up for that by visiting the UK RAS Festival Robotics Week web pages. But tell us about some of the other events that people have organised for this week.
Sure. Yeah, we've got loads going on. So as you said, obviously MiRo Maze is running every day for the week. We also have something called RockX, Robotic Cave Explorer, which is an online game you can play throughout the week. It was created by the students at the Farscope CDT. And I've had a little play over the weekend. It's really great. You get to pilot a little robot as it navigates its way through an underground cave system, and try to kind of track down the mystery of what happened to the robot that went before it.
Right.
So that's a really fun game, and you can also join the webinar at 5 p.m. today, where the researchers will be talking more about the motivations behind that and how they developed it.
I take it you're piloting a simulated robot, not an actual robot in a cave?
Yes, no, this is purely digital. It's just a little online game, but it shows you the kind of the simulated camera feed from this imaginary robot, as well as LiDAR and all sorts of other sensors. And yeah, it's good fun. They've done a fantastic job in putting that together. I'm very impressed.
Oh, it sounds good. I think I might have to have a go. Is it a competition? Do you get
No, it's just a game. I think not sure how it's scored, but no, it's not no competitive element here. It's just supposed to be fun.
So
Can you tell us again and say often as we go on where everybody can find all of the events that are happening? Is it the UK
Sure.
RAS website?
Yes, the UK RAS website. So that's ukras.org/robotics festival or robotics week. Both will take you to the same page, and we have all of our events listed on there for people to look at. We also have.
Go
Oh,
on,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, tell us what else is happening. Yeah.
Sure. So we have a few different opportunities to kind of remotely control robots. In addition to the MiRo Maze, we have an event tomorrow called Mosaics with Swarm Robot Tiles. And the idea there is that the audience are going to each be able to control one member of a swarm of robots. And together they can create collaborative works of art. So it's kind of a science art hybrid, which I think will be really good fun. And then I have to plug our big event on Wednesday, 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. on YouTube, Robot Lab Live, where we've got 16 different teams from all across the UK who are all going to simultaneously be demoing different robotics technologies they've been working on. So it's everything from medical robotics to nuclear robotics. We've got a robot that cooks eggs. It's really fantastic. So that's 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. on YouTube on Wednesday.
These will actually be real robots in labs doing things, live streaming it through Twitch.
Not Twitch, just YouTube.
Just YouTube. And basically anything could go wrong and probably will. I would
Yes,
think
yes. So it's all happening live from all across the country. So yes, anything can and will go wrong, I'm sure.
Yeah, because the problem with YouTube a lot of the time is people put up the video of the time that the robot did it just the way it's supposed to, and not the other 9 times when it did something unexpected.
Yes,
different.
but I think it's the unexpected ones are probably also maybe even more interesting than when it goes right.
Absolutely,
We can learn more from those experiences.
Definitely.
They show the reality of robotics, which is that it's still very experimental. Doing things with robots is difficult, and we're still figuring it out. Outside the industrial robots, so obviously they are very reliable and do stuff very accurately for thousands of hours. But something like, did you say frying an egg?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see that because does the robot crack the egg by itself, or?
I think you do have to crack the egg for the robot, but it does a very good job of scrambling it, and then it can take it off the hob when it's cooked. So that's very helpful.
But not yet ready for the home. So sort of
not quite. No,
your robot that will make you cook breakfast isn't quite available yet.
No, but coming soon, hopefully, to a kitchen near you. And yeah, on Robot Lab Live, obviously, they'll all be taking questions from the audience, so people can, ask questions live, ask them to show off particular features. It should be good fun.
There's I've read Harry Potter novels with all my children, and there's a line in one of the Harry Potter novels that wizards say that we can't help but showing off when we get together. Roboticists are like wizards. We all want to show off when we get together. Like, my robot can crack an egg, and my robot can bake an egg, and my robot can do this and that. And it's probably a really healthy thing, isn't it? Because coming from somebody who's not from an engineering background and coming to UK RAS later, I think one terrific thing about it is there's the competitive angle, there's a bit of showing off, but it's really something that's always amazed me about robotics is it's really collaborative endeavor. There's always, and not just to make an individual robot, it takes a village, right? You need your electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, your software programmers, and psychologists, and even your English lit PhDs. But you also, between the different robotics departments as well, there's sometimes a healthy rivalry, but there's genuine love for each other and genuine desire to support one another, I find. So
definitely, yeah. And a number of the teams that are showing off on Wednesday are collaborations. So actually, although they're live streaming through one source, they're coming from 3 or 4 different locations in the UK. And that wasn't quite how I imagined it when I planned the event, but I think it's fantastic, as you said, because of this kind of, this collaborative element. I think it's really great.
Oh, it sounds really exciting, and I look forward to the chaos that ensues. We are
beautiful chaos.
This event is also being coordinated from multiple locations. So Michael is in his plush office at home, and the rest of us are in the Diamond, and then people are logging in from all over the UK. So,
on that, Claire, can I just ask a quick question about that? As somebody who now is isolating because I've been told to, how much do you think this is maybe the way of the future for, because I've been involved in a few festivals of robotics now, and this seems to have a very good reach, doesn't it, this year? I mean, it's sad because of the COVID. We can't be there necessarily, but are there some opportunities in that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we've over the last year we began by feeling like, oh, you know, we have to put some online events. You know, we have to try and convert our in-person events to being online. And actually, now we've realised that it has many benefits in its own right. And I think going forward, we would definitely be looking at doing a kind of hybrids of online and in-person events.
So, because I think something that's, and I wonder, you know, obviously, I think you've noticed that COVID has accelerated a lot of technologies and the acceptance of it. I think we were already headed for a cashless society, and now I think COVID accelerated. So, do you think that COVID has accelerated the people's willingness to robotics? Is that may be an expression we just invented, but there's more of a need for it.
Yeah, I think over the last year, people have become more aware of robotics and of what it can do, and they've seen some of the ways that it's been so helpful in terms of disinfecting or delivering supplies and things like that. That it has come up in the public eye a lot more, and I think that's definitely a benefit. You know, I think a lot of people have a kind of an anxiety or a nervousness about the idea of robotics becoming more integrated into our lives. But I'm hoping that, you know, as people have been seeing the benefits of it and this ability to remotely operate robots, I think it will. It's a real boost to kind of people's appreciation of robotics and hopefully their acceptance. And that's another thing, you know, we want to try and achieve with the UK Festival of Robotics is try and break down these barriers and address why people maybe feel uncomfortable and help them to get used to robots, to understand them better and to feel more comfortable, because I think they are going to become an increasingly big part of our lives, whether people like it or not. And so I'd like them to like it.
So Claire, one of the other things that the network is doing is publishing some white papers. So, and I think we've got some new ones this year. Can you explain what a white paper is and what publications we've got coming out? Because they're free for anyone to download and read, aren't they?
Yeah, so we've been running our white paper series since 2015 when the network started, and each one takes a topic in robotics and tries to kind of break it down, often to look at challenges or opportunities, to offer recommendations, and they're written it not for specialists. So anybody who's interested can download those from our website, and they should be an accessible kind of an interesting read. We've got 2 new white papers coming out in July, and one of them is about skills and education in robotics and autonomous systems, and I think it's a fantastic paper. It's just looking at what the skills gaps are for people to become more involved in robotics and in future years, and kind of really trying to arm the UK workforce with the skills they're going to need to work successfully in that future. And we also have an update to our surgical robotics white paper, looking at the UK surgical robotics scene and how that is being translated from academia into hospitals and into commercial settings.
Yeah, and
if you could send the links to those, and we'll make sure to include them in the YouTube, Twitch archive.
Sure.
Yeah, I was involved with the skills and education one, and I think we're going to get the lead author on that, Richard Waterston, to come and talk about it as one of our interviews
brilliant.
This week. So yeah, so we'll find out more. And I don't know if there's somebody on the surgery side that maybe we could talk to this week. If you could suggest that anyway, and you let us know.
Yes, I can. I can put you in touch.
We'll be doing, I think, a few more of these interviews. We've got some more lined up, but there's space for a bit more.
They're great. I've been listening along earlier today, and I've been really enjoying it.
Good. Because for the rest of the day, it's been me and Michael talking to each other or wittering.
You've been doing a fantastic job of holding down the fort, and I think I think one of you said earlier that it's not robotics if something doesn't go wrong, right?
So I think maybe we'll get some more robots in here tomorrow, Michael. Maybe we could bring in
More robots. Well,
Some more robots. We'll talk
unlimited
about it.
the robots I have here. I think I have a couple kicking around.
Okay, well, if you got some there, you could also
Well,
activate those.
I'm not sure people want to see this little guy.
No.
But yeah, I think Claire, as I was saying, is that it's when you're this close to the cutting edge, things are definitely going to go wrong. Nobody wants to see yesterday's robot that works
Exactly,
perfectly.
yeah.
But I'll console myself with this idea that we are so far in advance of what is available to do anywhere else. So this is why we have problems sometimes. But there's another thing I tend to say is because we do a lot of public engagement. We've done live TV, recorded TV, radio, all sorts of things that there's an expression amongst the acting community of never work with children and animals. And I said, you want to extend this to robots as well.
Definitely.
So
Especially
Claire, you've also got some activities going which are competitions. Is that right? So
yes. Obviously there's the MiRo Maze. We have a really fun game as well we're running called Tech Tag, where people can so that's a live stream event on Thursday from 5 p.m. where people can so it's a high-tech version of the schoolyard game Tag. And so there's 4 robots. One of the robots is tagged at any one time, and the idea is to try and catch the others. But the way that the audience control the robots is by voting. So it's kind of like a wisdom of the crowds kind of idea. So people people are each assigned to one of the robot teams, and they can click on the map to say where they'd like the robot to go next. So that's got a competitive element. The aim is to be tagged for the shortest amount of time possible. We're also this week announcing the winners of our 2 of our competitions for kids. So this year and last year we ran a drawing competition called Draw a Robot and a story writing competition called Once Upon a Robot, and they were for primary school age children. And the Draw a Robot shortlist video is actually out on our YouTube channel now. And tomorrow we're having private award ceremonies with the schools because we can't live stream directly from the schools, but we will be holding the award ceremonies and awarding them their prizes, and then we will be announcing the winners formally on our website and on Twitter and so on.
Right. Well, we'll definitely look at the video and maybe show it in the live stream tomorrow.
Oh, it'd be great.
I really like children's drawings. I used to, when I was in the psychology department, look at children's drawings from a developmental perspective to try and understand what children are thinking when they draw a picture of a person. Young children typically draw a circle with 2 legs, and we call it a tadpole. And they put a face on it as well. But I think increasingly kids draw robots, in the way that when I was a kid, I don't remember drawing robots. It wasn't even a thing.
No, I would have loved a competition like this when I was a kid. But yeah, it's so interesting to see the pictures that they draw and to understand what they're thinking, and it's both heartwarming and heartbreaking that a number of the robots are dealing with climate or environmental issues.
Right.
And it's clear that that's something that's very much at the forefront of their minds at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's great. And I think, do they tend to draw robots that look a bit like people, or are they just any size and shape, or
a real mixture, actually? Yeah, you get a lot of humanoid robots, but there's been many dog robots as well, and some some that are, I mean, just totally novel designs that I've never seen before.
Great. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm going to definitely watch the video and see what the highlights are. Well, I think, Claire, we're going to wrap it up. Anything else you want to say about?
I guess just a reminder to go to ukraz.org/robotics-festival, and you can find out about all the great things that are going on this week. And yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'm very much looking forward to watching the tournament throughout the week.
Great. Well,
any Twitter handles you want to promote while you've got this fantastic platform in front of you?
Yes, well, at UK Robotics, that's our Twitter account, and you can also find all our tweets about the week with the hashtag RobotFest.
Yes, fantastic.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Claire, and yeah, please do continue watching the feed. I think it will get less chaotic, but I don't think we'll eliminate the chaos completely.
We like chaos. Embrace
chaos.
Embrace the chaos.
Definitely.
So, see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Yeah, so I think we're going to wrap up for the day, Michael.
This brings us to the end of day 1 of our MiRo Maze week, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to start again at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
And hopefully we'll have more MiRo Maze in the MiRo Maze feed. But otherwise, you and I chatting has proved entertaining, hasn't it, John?
Well, it's been
It's
entertaining.
for you
me.
and I, if for no one else.
So I think what we'll do is somebody requested that we put out the rules of the game, and maybe an instructional video. So when we start at 1 o'clock tomorrow, we'll maybe do a little section on the MiRo Maze, what it's about, how to control the robot.
Sure.
And assuming it's working, then we might have some demonstrations from the skilled people here. And we've got people here who are students of mechatronics and robotics, so I'm sure they'll be experts.
In fact, we have students that actually study robotics at the University of Sheffield.
Yeah.
Very strange, yes.
Yeah, so please join us again tomorrow. Do we want to promote any links or Twitters?
Just the usual ones of follow Sheffield Robotics on Twitter, follow Cyberselves on Twitter, follow it is Tony J. Prescott on Twitter, follow Michael Slossie on Twitter, and as Claire said, especially UK Robotics and hashtag RobotFest.
Yeah, and we're broadcasting again tomorrow on twitch.tv/cyberselves.
Yeah.
And what's the YouTube one called?
Oh, the YouTube, we're broadcasting on both Cyberselves channel. So if you search for Cyberselves, we're there, and also on UK Robotics channel as well.
Right, okay. Brilliant. And we'll be putting out some sort of highlights from the feed over the week. So look out for that, and we'll be tweeting about those too.
Absolutely.
So hopefully see people tomorrow, and look forward to some MiRo robot action in the arena.
Thank you, Tony. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Bye-bye.